Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. My name is Brek. I am the Business and Finance Advisor with the Native American Development Center here in Bismarck, North Dakota, 2403 East Thayer. And today on the agenda, I'm going to be speaking with representatives from the Burdick Job Corps Center. With us today, we have Mr. Daniel Bruce and Ms. Dulcie Demery that are going to be, I know Dulcie, you're going to be in the background as support, and if you want to talk, you can chime in. You're welcome to chime in. We knew you're new to the team over there, which is awesome. So I'm glad that Daniel's got some more help over there on his side with their program here. But so today we're going to be spotlighting their program, and just real briefly, what I'd like to do is just let everybody know. I know I usually with every webinar that I do, I just real briefly talk about our program. We are the Native American Development Center. On the other side of the center here, we have Native Inc., which I'm sure a lot of our attendees or viewers are somewhat familiar with as well. For us here on the NADC side, we work with individuals and families on the personal credit. If your credit score or your FICO score is taking a beating, give me a call. I'll be happy to help you out. If you're an aspiring entrepreneur, we can assist you with your small business plan, and we can also help you make that business possibly come true with a micro enterprise loan up to $20,000, which is wonderful. So it's a very micro loan, but it's sometimes it's enough to get somebody going with their small business. So if any of those services are of interest to you, you're always welcome to give me a call at 701-712-7284. And with that, I'd like to just kick off our webinar spotlight of the Burdick Job Corps Center. And I guess let's go ahead, Dan, and just introduce yourself and what you do. And we met at the job service a few weeks ago, which was fortuitous for me. I'm really interested in the trades and workforce development here, along with it ties right in with economic development. It's an integral part. It's an integral ingredient to the success of any community is to have the workforce, and you guys are doing your part, especially for our young people, young adults, to help them get where they need to go in terms of their career. So with that, let me turn the reins over to you, Dan.
All right, thank you. Yes, once again, my name is Daniel Bruce. I am actually the outreach and admissions specialist here in Bismarck, and I do work predominantly for the Quentin Burdick Job Corps Center up in Minot, North Dakota. But depending upon the career field or the training that a student really desires, I can send students to other centers as well, that the ones that are nearest by. So if there's something that Burdick doesn't offer, I can send them to another, and have sent students to other Job Corps locations to get the training that they really want, because we want them to want to go to Job Corps and do what they really want to do. Otherwise, they may not stay or be committed to the program. And with me is our new career transition specialist.
Can they see me?
Yeah.
I'm going to wave.
Yeah.
My name is Dulcie Demery. I am the career transition specialist. And when they graduate from the Job Corps, you come to me and I help you with the resources from the community to help you progress onto your career path.
Yeah, I'm not sure I know of any program quite like Job Corps that really, up to 3 years of support that, it's just the whole shebang. But what I got, this presentation here is what we call our virtual information session. We do it weekly for prospective students. So this presentation is geared predominantly for prospective students. But I'm just going to use it as a template, and we can tailor it and talk about, just inform folks of Job Corps as we go along. The careers begin here. I kind of like to say future begins here, because so many of these technical trades that we offer today are highly in demand skills. In this economy. So it's just, if you take it seriously, it is just, you can write your ticket and the program works. So with that, you can, next slide. I should say that we do right now we are located, and most of our admissions and CTS offices are co-located in the job service. So we are located at the North Dakota Job Service here in North Dakota, in Bismarck, I should say. We have another one in Grand Forks. We have one in Fargo and one down in Sioux Falls. The reason why we partner with them is because we do fall under the same funding in terms of, or can fall under the same fundings in terms of the WIOA, Workforce Integration and Opportunity Act. So we partner with them for both ways. I can send maybe prospective students to them. They'll send them to me. Dalsey can work with the business people here. And then again, like Brek said, we have these career fairs where they bring a lot of people together, and we can meet, cross-pollinate and things like that. And this is a prime example of that. So, because I'm a firm believer in relationships and, getting each of us working together to refer people to all the right places that they need. But anyway, Job Corps. Many people have heard of Job Corps, but may not be that familiar with it, of course, and exactly what it is. It is a government program. It is funded and run by the Department of Labor. They are our ultimate guide, if you will, and driving force and funder and provider of many of the policies and rules and regulations that we need to follow. But because it is a government program, it is also fully funded by the Department of Labor, so that Job Corps is completely tuition free. And when I mean that, there really isn't any nickel and diming or anything else for these students. But it is for, of course, a very, a certain segment of the population. And that is, as you can see here, young adults. So it is designed for 16 to 24-year-olds. You have to be 24 by the time you report on to station. Report, that's probably not a good word, but by the time you arrive on station, and I shouldn't say station either, there's my old military background, arrive on center. Okay, there we go. So, but it is for and we'll cover this a little bit later, it is for 16 to 24-year-olds who are facing barriers to employment and so forth. So we can, and we do our very best on all campuses to do that. We have full security to do it in a safe, drug-free environment, so that the students are in an environment where they can really, really flourish, we hope. Next slide. Okay, then who is eligible? Like I said, 16 to 24 years old, must be 16. You can be past 24, but then we get into some disability or like veteran type of situations, but generally it is up to 24. They have 2 years to finish the program. Most do it in less than that, but if they need to finish their degree or get or diploma or get a GED, they have up to 2 years, and the career technical training. They have to be a legal, for the basic eligibility for Job Corps, they have to be a legal resident of the U.S. So we will ask for Social Security cards. It's just like a hiring practice that, with the I-9 and, the immigration forms and so forth, or they have to be legally allowed to work in the country. So we will ask for that documentation. We'll ask for documentation to meet that age criteria. And the last one is a low income criteria. This one is a little more broad. The other two are you either are or you're not, but this one, the low income, it can be just based upon like the federal poverty rate or the federal poverty rate of household income. But we generally don't have to go that route because there are other ways that students can meet that. Either they or their family can be on certain public assistance programs, like if they're on SNAP benefits, if they're on Medicaid benefits, all we need is proof of that, and that satisfies the low income requirement. So there's a number of things we can do there to kind of work with that. The other two, we can't do anything about it. But that one, we can work with the prospective students. So it is, a low income type of thing, because that segment may be facing, like I said, those barriers to employment. They don't have the training, they don't have the education. Generally, they've dropped out of high school, or they can be runaways, in the foster care program. They even can be a parent and have children. But unfortunately, right now, the center is not is not providing childcare. They did in the past, but not anymore. So a single parent or parent could go up there with their kids, but now they can't. They can still go, but they have to have, a relative or something back at home taking care of the kids. And we just ask for a simple self-attested plan that, yeah, my kids are going to be taken care of. So that doesn't even present, you can do that. And then homeless, we prioritize even the homeless and those that are like victims of human trafficking, or those who people may be displaced because of natural disasters. We can prioritize them. However, Burdick right now is pretty open, so there's really not a whole big barrier to get in. You can get in pretty well because it's underutilized in most of the trades right now. But say, several years ago, pre-COVID, it was waiting list to get in. But if we get back to that status, which we'd like to be, then those types of people will be moved to the front of the line. The homeless, victims of natural disasters, or like human trafficking and so forth. If you are 16 to 17, you do have to have a legal guardian or parent signed consent to do that. And again, the child care, like I talked about earlier. And then, this is a little more, subjective, but if in our admissions process, we talk to counselors, case managers, teachers, parents, there is kind of a history of behavioral problems, then we may find that the student is not suitable or eligible for Job Corps, because there are things beyond just those three basic eligibility, because we want to make sure that there's no disturbances up there. Like I said, safe environment, disruptive free, that they can our students hopefully can go and thrive. Now, if they do have a criminal background, that's fine. We do not discriminate against that unless it's major felonies, of course. But if it is misdemeanors and some of them are maybe property type crime felonies and so forth, if they have a record, that's fine. You're still eligible for Job Corps. It's just that if you're still under supervised probation or parole, or still working your way through the court system and you have court dates and things like that, or fines or community service to do, you're ineligible at that time. But once you've satisfied all those legal requirements, and even if you've been in detention, as long as you're out, released, not on probation, parole, supervised. We can allow unsupervised. Some case managers do work with, they find that if a student is wanting to go to Job Corps and shows that they're committed to it, they will release them from supervised probation to go to in order to go to Job Corps. So that is an option too with some case managers, but we of course don't decide that, the legal system does, but it has happened. And of course, if there's a history of drug use, violence, that sort of thing, then, well, I shouldn't say extensive drug use or things like that, because students can go up there, they may have smoked something, and when they arrive, they can test positive, but that's not necessarily just an immediate. We allow them 30 days. We give them we put them in a program to quit, to get off of the stuff. And if they retest and they're clean, they're good. So there's not much, but we'll get to a few slides that might, keep you from Job Corps or instantly, eliminated. Next slide, please. And those benefits that these are like what I like to call the tangible kind of real benefits. The career technical training is number one. We have 7 fields at Burdick that we train in. So we'll get to those later. And then there is the education completion. You either earn a GED or finish your high school diploma. That all depends on where the student is, in their former career or, school career, academic career, that sort of thing. So they determine that once they get on center. And then again, it's tuition free for all of that training and education. In the same time, you live on center, you do reside there, but we provide you housing, meals, and your basic medical care. We have a health and wellness center there that does work with you. Some people are on prescriptions, some people come up Maybe they're still undergoing some counseling for issues. And if it's a medical or mental health issue that the center feels that they can still provide you care for, then, that's not it won't, preclude you from going to Job Corps. They'll still work with you and provide what you need. And then again, the job placement assistance afterwards. You don't walk across the stage in your, fancy hat. We shove a piece of paper in your hand and then say, have a good one. No, we we transitioned you to somebody like Dalsey, the career transition specialist. And we'll talk more about that later. And we support you even afterwards. There is some amount of college. Now, what I mean by that, there's like 4 slots available up there that if a person graduates there and they express an interest to want to go to college, then we help them get into, say, Minot State University. We do not provide funding for the education, but they are allowed to live on campus, still remain on campus for, I believe it's up to 12 months, could be more, and I should know better. But so it's like would provide, room for them. But yeah, so we can allow that. We do provide their uniforms daily when they're during the duty day, and all of the personal equipment. The CNA students wear scrubs. That's their daily, uniform. The culinary people wear the chef gear and so forth, and welding. Of course, they have their visors and all that stuff. All of that's provided too. You don't spend a dime on any of that. If you arrive there without a driver's license, you can take driver's ed and leave, at the end of that time, also with your driver's license. There's plenty of recreational stuff to do as well. It's not just all work and no play. And again, towards the end of that program, or at the end of their program, there's some funding available too for that transition. Next slide, please. But Job Corps also endeavors to, provide more non-tangible type of benefits as well. It's not just, training and that sort of thing. We work with, many, the students coming out of, all kinds of different situations, the broken homes and maybe, no structure in their life. It's just no skills in terms of life skills and so forth. So that's another thing. We have counselors on staff. All of the teachers and instructors work with the students in terms of their behavior, and so that you can develop workplace relationships and ethics, how to behave and conduct yourself in the workplace, how to properly communicate with people. Because that's what I like to say. I mean, you may have the star welder that can weld, your socks off or whatever, but if they can't get along with anybody and they're just a general, pain, they're not going to last very long anywhere. So it goes far beyond that, and it just, so that personal growth as well, managing your time, being where you need to be, and no longer footloose, fancy free, or just whatever, being where you need to be. Because you have a schedule, you have time, you got to be in class or got to be in certain places, certain times, managing your time, your information. And of course, Job Corps draws upon people from many different locations and places. So there's that diversity and multicultural awareness to get along with people from all different kinds of backgrounds. And one of the largest we do comes from the Native American community. Standing Rock is I've only been working here a little over a year, but I'd say the bulk of my students that I've got in have probably come from Standing Rock. I got many of them up there now. And so, and again, the career and personal planning, you learn to think out your career, set goals, set targets, and actually achieve those things with kind of a life plan in a way, instead of just, I don't know where I'm going, what I'm doing, or things like that. And the whole goal, of course, is to set you up for independent living. And that's the whole philosophy behind Job Corps. The Department of Labor is paying for all this so that hopefully at the end of that time, they're investing in you to go out then and get a good career and start becoming a responsible, productive citizen, and start contributing. So it's worth it. And I believe it's worth it for society, as well.
Oh, yeah.
Next slide, please. I don't want to spend a lot of time on this. This is what we call our negative slides, and we're actually going to kind of tone down some of this stuff. It's just the zero tolerance stuff. Like I said, we do try to do, and anybody seeing this can read the type of stuff that Job Corps, if you screw up and kind of here and there and stuff, yeah, you might suffer a little bit of, but there are some zero tolerance things, and we all know what they are. They're the major felonies, assaults, weapons, drugs. You do it any one time up there, you're just gone. You're just gone. You do it, you'll be gone pretty much the next day. You can slip through the next couple slides, but I don't want to concentrate on that right now. That one, and then and some more expectations. These are more of the expectations that if you kind of have a history or trend of doing any of these things, then you might find yourself disenrolled from Job Corps. But these are the things that we expect, and if you keep up on them, you'll be fine. And there's rewards as well for doing the stuff you're supposed to be doing. The number one thing is we want commitment, of course. We want you, the student, to want to go to Job Corps. We don't want the mom, the dad, somebody else, the school, the case manager who just kind of wants to try to get rid of this kid, and the kid doesn't want to go. They're just kind of being twisted. We do kind of try to determine that in a way, but because we know that if we go through the process, they're just going to be in the door and then out the door. So we do really try to establish a personal relationship with the student to ensure that this is your decision. You want to go to Job Corps. That's what we really want. We do our best. We can't always, and then by that, we also have a group of students up there that are all committed and all kind of one in that focus that, hey, we want a better life. We're tired of where we're at right now, and there's nowhere to go. So, and there are plenty of students up there like that, and they will all tell you the program works. You just have to, put into it. And that this is the expectations. Like anywhere else, if in school, in a job, even if it's at McDonald's, there's accountability. There's expectations that you're going to show up. You're going to follow the rules. You're going to follow the schedule. You're going to be in class. You're going to complete your work. You're going to keep your room clean. You're going to have a dorm room up there. You'll share it with, if the center was full capacity, you'd share it with 4 other people per room. Right now, because it's a little less, it might be 2 to 3. But you might expect maybe up to 4 people per room. But you have your private place to lock up your stuff, and it's only for up to 2 years. So there's certain things you just have to deal with. Put some of this aside, because you got to look towards that future. And someday you will, if you use the program, you will, get out, get a good job, and then you can get your own apartment and things like that. And then, I know positive attitude, it sounds kind of trite, but, and respect, but it's just true. You just have to have that right mindset when you go up. I always tell people sometimes, like with my son, you don't have to like it, you just have to do it, when those are the things that that mean the most in that get you places, and put aside some of that, your feelings and stuff at the time, and just put your head down and work towards it and participate fully, because we have not only, well, we'll get into it, we do have activities, which we'll get in, and of course, graduate and then go out and get that job and start going. I like to highlight, she was my second student last year in the summer that I got in, and she either has left or she was just about ready to, did the whole program. And she did welding, and she's coming back to Bismarck and will get a welding job with Bobcat at around $25 an hour. And that's for a young person, but the potential there is unlimited. So, and that's a real world story.
Awesome.
Awesome. We can skip this, I think. I don't think people, and a typical day, this changes depending on what's going on, but it's a 6 o'clock wake up, breakfast. Like I said, I've eaten in the dining facility, and it's great. It's really is. So we feed, you get a good breakfast, 8 o'clock. when you do get up, you get ready, then you do check in daily in the dorm. You do a daily roll call, then you hit breakfast, go to your training from about 8 to 11 or 8 to 12, depending on lunch. Get your lunch. In the afternoon, it's back to training or education. We knock off at 4 o'clock. Again, another roll call, dorms, free for dinner, and then the evenings is personal time, free time. So Job Corps is like a job. It's Monday through Friday, 8 to 4. Weekends are free. There may be some things going on sometimes. There are, most of the main federal holidays, the staff is off. There's always security and somebody like that, but it's like what they call a non-training day. So you as a student would get it, would get a day off and so forth. And then 10:30, there is the lights out. You're expected to be back, signed in, lights out, and in your room. Yeah, next slide. And then like the off-duty time, what is there to do? Well, there's a big recreation center up there for on-center activities. There's a just big full-up gym. There's a big room full of billiard tables and TVs and foosball and TVs that you can hook up a game system to so you can game. There's a separate library, kind of a quieter room if you're kind of prone to that. There's an arts and crafts room, which is kind of cool because a lot of students do really, some of them times they don't even really know they have any desire for that, but it is an opportunity to kind of express themselves, and they create, really some, intriguing art and so forth. Whether it's painting, they have a kiln where they can do pottery and ceramics. So it's really cool. Like I said, the gymnasium, we do organize some sports teams at times, basketball, soccer, volleyball. Sometimes it's among the different student groups and stuff. Sometimes it's staff and things like that. Weight room, an aerobics room separate. There's a little movie kind of theater room there. But then there's also a recreational staff that works up there whose job is to plan recreational activities, whether on center or off. So there's plenty of time to get off center to movie nights, bowling nights, shopping nights, mall nights, or days, depending on that. So, and then there's, of course, a lot of events that happen in Minot, such as the state fair and other kind of community things. There's oftentimes a lot of call for students. They want volunteers to some of these events, and so students will volunteer. They get to participate in things, and then, it's worth some rewards and stuff like that. So you shouldn't be bored. Plenty of things to do, and we encourage complete, activity because it's all a part of, of just what you do in life too, hopefully.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Next slide, please. This is now we kind of get into the heart of the matter, what we call CDSS. That's our kind of overarching career development services system, and it's 4 phases is what it is. So next slide. The first slide is outreach and admissions, where I'm at, and that's where they get information like this. We give a presentation much like this to students who register for it, and then they watch it and then think, yeah, this is something I'd like to do, or no, I don't want anything to do with this. So they have to kind of sit through this and watch me do my thing, or some other admissions advisor. And we got some new video that we're going to show that's really exciting. We're really trying to kind of ramp this up a little bit than just some talking head with some slides. We're trying to get much better about what Job Corps really can offer. But they attend this session. They get linked up with an admissions person, and we start that process of determining their eligibility to get them on center. Next slide, please. Okay, the second period is about a 60-day period. It's called the career preparation period. There's a separate area up on center where the students go, and for about the first 60 days, it's an orientation period, an introduction period. So you're not just thrown, out there and okay, let's start, but that's kind of where students then first, they'll sit down with staff that can look at their transcripts, look at their academic record. They take the test, TABE, test of adult basic education, to kind of see where they're at, because they'll test along the way to show, improvement. So they'll either determine whether it's a GED program or whether to finish high school with a diploma. There's 2 programs up there where they can do that. They'll get a medical exam, and that's where the drug test comes in, and then start that occupational exploration. Excuse me. We have a system or a program, and it's a computer-based thing called MyPace. It's like their own personal plan to succeed at what they want to do. Really think through the process and set achievable goals and so forth. And they'll do some job shadowing, career shadowing, things like that, to kind of really make sure that their aptitude and interests align with what they claim, that they want to do. Because how many of us have gone to college and, oh no, this ain't working right, So you're not ever going to be arm twisted into something you don't want to do. Job Corps, the Department of Labor, is very interested in making sure that a student is doing really what they have an aptitude for and an interest for, so that they can succeed, and that way you generate the commitment, to complete the program and then go out and get that good career. Yes. Next slide, please. And then step 3 is really the longest and biggest period. It's where, okay, you've done all that. You are set up on your education program. You're set up in your career technical training. You've chosen it. You're on the road now. Now you're learning it and doing your classes, taking those tests. And there's another cool thing about Job Corps. We have work-based learning. So it's not just necessarily right there on campus. Students do go out into actual businesses and work in the real job place. So they're getting hands-on training and so forth, working in restaurants, automotive shops, and on construction sites, carpentry sites, and things like that. So that's really cool, because if you do a super good job and you attract the attention of those employers, you may have a job, when you get out and so forth. So that is and community service projects. That's some of those, where they do invite students of certain, maybe they do. The community may have some kind of a project that might require some carpentry. Well, the carpentry, students will go off and do those projects. And this is all just helping you develop those independent living skills and, even start thinking about your job search and so forth. Next slide, please. And this is where Delcy would step in. I'm not going to make her do it yet. This is that step 4 career transition period. And this is what I was talking about earlier, going on and on when, this is where, like I said, about 90 days out from their graduation, they'll start to transition over to, depending on the area that they're going back to or where they're from, to start, transitioning from Job Corps into the real world. And number 1 of that is placing them in the trade that they trained in. That's even tracked by Department of Labor. We put this money into this. We want to ensure that they're going back, into something that they trained in. But it goes beyond that. It's housing, it's transportation. Like I said, it's even clothes. They may not even have the right kind of clothes, and it's starting to go on job interviews or things like that. Interview skills training. It really is quite. I don't know if holistic is the word, I suppose, but I mean, it just really is just from beginning. Take somebody that just may have come from the word, broken home, homeless, off the streets, no skills, no nothing. 2 years later, 2.5, we're giving them the whole thing free of charge, and there is money up to $1,200 there also. If they're placed in the trade that they go in. I'm not a real specialist on this, but I'm just passing on what I have learned about this, and it's up to 12 months of those services. And then we also do surveys with them second quarter and fourth quarter after they graduate to find out, hey, what's going on? We keep in touch with them. It's not just cut off and, hey, you're out of Job Corps. No, we keep in touch with them, and there's money involved in returning those surveys. There's like $25 and $50 each time. So there's incentives for doing the stuff you're supposed to be doing or doing the right thing too. So next slide, please. This is just an example of some of those businesses that we have worked with, or organizations, I should say. It's not all business technically, but Bobcat there is a big one, especially here in Bismarck, Sanford Health, all over the state for like our CNA graduates. Olive Garden restaurant, a number of other restaurants. This is just a sampling of some of those that we have worked with, and that's the job of CTS. Mostly is really developing, relationships with these businesses in the community and other organizations, because like your organization, offers assistance as well for that. So being aware of all this, is super. And, I also I've worked with community options and what they have to offer and so forth. So
Yep.
it's just really good. We all, do work together to put them in and are so much aware so that we can do that. Next slide, please. You can slip to these, this one, this one, and the next one. It's just about that my pace. Okay, now these are the career training options that we do have at Burdick. We have culinary arts in the hospitality industry. And, some of these you might think, or you just think, oh, Olive Garden or a restaurant or something. But, I've even heard, cruise ships have, culinary opportunities. What, a young person could get a job in one of these cruise ship agencies, and go see the world for a while, if they're not tied down to anything. I mean, there is culinary opportunities in Sanford organization. Hospitals and things like that have their nutritional programs and stuff. So it's a big, broad field beyond just, but a lot of them do think, hey, I want to own my own restaurant someday, or I want to be a baker or bakery or something. And that's where I think, when we were talking about this, so forth, that could, because some do want to set up their own little welding shop or something like that when they're coming out of here. CNA, medical, office administration for those like me who like to just take it easy in an air-conditioned room. But no, it's more than that. And office administration, more really than just, learning how to file or use a computer or something. There's some pretty advanced certifications that they walk away with for that too. So it's a bigger, broader field than what somebody might think. And then our apprenticeship programs, pre-apprentice, I should say, with carpentry, building construction technology, those are pre-apprentice. So when you graduate, you can go on right into an apprenticeship in an organization, get with the unions. The union is cool because all your benefits can come from the union. So they follow you wherever you go. They're not business related. They're not tied to a specific business. And carpentry even has a lot to offer that's beyond what I ever thought. Millwrights it's more advanced, and those people make buco bucks because there's not a lot of them around, and it's a highly skilled opportunity for those that want to pursue that. Maintenance and light repairs actually are automotive. So the training up there, you walk in there, it looks like any automotive shop you've ever gone into. So it teaches you to work in dealerships, your own shop if you want to, other shops. So if you're a car working nut, that's what we have to offer. And then finally, welding, which is very popular and very in demand.
Oh, yeah.
Now, here's where I do like to say, okay, we do predominantly recruit for Burdick. However, we if there's a training that you really that a student really wants, like in the IT field, another big one, IT, or in like heavy equipment, or truck driving, CDL, that kind of stuff. If that's more your forte, we can send you to another center. Department of Labor rules state that you must go to the center that's closest to where you live. And a lot of that is because, you're paid, or they're paying you to get there. They pay for your transportation to get to center, and then they'll pay for your transportation, like to go home for Christmas time and things like that. So, and then if you open the doors, you can't just say, hey, I want to go to Hawaii, or I want to go to Florida or something, No, if you're from North Dakota, you're going to have to probably stay in North Dakota or somewhere around there. But say, I've had some students that were interested in IT. So the nearest one for them was in Clearfield, Utah. So I sent them there. They have like all the Cisco certification and things like that. Talk about in demand.
Yeah.
And then heavy equipment. operations or mechanics or truck driving. Wind River in Wyoming would be the closest one for that. So you're not locked into this. And then Box Elder, a number of Job Corps centers are also what we call civilian conservation centers. They're actually run more so by, or they are, or by the, Department of Forestry, or because they offer, well, Box Elder, say in South Dakota, it used to be forestry conservation and firefighting, but I think they've turned it into a new kind of career field called natural resources. And so it's like if you're into the outdoors and like that sort of thing, and forestry and some amount of firefighting and things like that, then the CCC centers are for you. And our nearest one is Box Elder in Nemo, South Dakota. And so we can do that as well. Next slide, please. But it's that Job Corps, graduating from your basic career technical training is not necessarily the end of Job Corps, because we do offer advanced training opportunities. There's actually a number of things you can do when you graduate from Job Corps. Number one, of course, is to just go out and get work in the field that you trained in. But military, some students do kind of want a military career, and we do work with recruiters. Recruiters do come on center. So if you're wanting to enter into the military, that's an option. As I said earlier, the college, there is some if you want to go on, work towards an associate's or something, or get started on a bachelor's, we can help you with that. Like I said, we can't pay tuition, but we can help you, assist you, and then give you a place to stay for a time while you're pursuing your studies. Another option is advanced training. And this is a situation where not a lot of the centers do have advanced training. So you may go to, say, in the advanced culinary arts. If you want to do advanced training there, you might find yourself in Maine, California, or Maryland, and we will. But, these are kind of for the, like I said, those committed students, if you've just buckled down, committed yourself, and you're just showing, and you think, man, I want to go further. And if you're in CNA, we can actually send you to Virginia or New York to do LPN, to go further into licensed practical nursing, or the advanced welding. Talk about a lucrative career field, is that advanced welding. So if you're really good, we can send you to any of these places too at graduation. But the general rule is that you do one trade at a time.
Are you ready for the next one?
Yeah. I'm sorry.
Okay.
I was spacing out for a minute.
That's okay.
Okay.
That's okay.
In terms of like, if a student is interested, of course, this isn't so much what you probably need to know, because you're just going to say, hey, I got a student interested in Job Corps, and then we take over. So I don't know if you really need to. The main thing really is to just register with the national site. That's step one. And that's
okay.
Where I should have had a slide, I guess, maybe. But like I said, I'm just going out there. It's just jobcorps.gov. You just go on jobcorps.gov. There's big red buttons on there that say get started. That's really where it begins. You register with the national site. They will take a look at where you are. They'll assign you to one of our individuals that then will contact you, sign you up for a virtual information session, which that's what this is basically. And then from there, if you say, yep, I want to do this, you'll be assigned to one of us, and we get the ball rolling, establishing your basic eligibility, and then going on to the application and so forth, and get you hopefully where you need to be.
Excellent.
Next slide. I think the next slide is just questions. Yeah.
Yeah.
This is where we would offer, any questions from the student.
Sure. Well, Dan, wow. All I can say is, I just see so much upside to this for any young individual, 16 to 24 years of age. Oh my goodness. Especially, if you're, your limited options and maybe college necessarily isn't for you. Wow. I guess, right off the bat, I was just wondering, do you have any, just some, you don't have to name names, but, just some typical success stories that you've seen in your tenure there, or that you can, just kind of, in terms
Well,
of some of
yeah,
the
I mean,
graduates?
like I said, I've been here 1 year. So those students, well, a little over a year, about 12, well, coming on 14 months, I guess. So unfortunately for me, I'm probably not quite the right person, because, it takes up to 2 years for students. So I've only got really that one that I know is graduating and going to Bobcat, with that,
Hmm.
but there are, I've ran across, I was up at Fort Berthold in White Shield at the activity center there. And I was doing a career kind of, or, presentation, and there were the police there too. And, there was a cop came up to us and, hey, I went to Job Corps too. I was on the wrong path.
Hmm.
I knew I was, I just did too many, and I needed to straighten out bad. And so he went to Job Corps. And I know we don't really have a law enforcement thing really per se. Cybersecurity or something is kind of all I can think. But, just like I said, there's those intangible skills that we teach as well. So maybe the career technical training, we might have done that for a while, but then had an interest in law enforcement and went into it. But if he had not gone to Job Corps, finished his diploma, worked on the things and just kind of learned all those basic life skills and so forth, who knows? He may not have been ever able to get into the law enforcement, but it changed his life to where, and that law enforcement people have to be, fairly upstanding and have good records and so forth. So it helped him there. And I know we're going to White Shield again tomorrow, actually, to do the same thing. And Melissa up there was a Job Corps graduate. So she's very keen on getting us up there for her, young people that she works with, because it helped her. And she went back and she's now working with youth in the activity center and so forth. So she is somebody that I know, benefited from Job Corps. As soon as I get off of this, I'll probably think of more. but so a lot of my students are still on center, at least of mine. So I can't necessarily. And then unfortunately, we haven't had a career technical or a career transition specialist in the whole time I've been here. The office was empty, so I didn't really get to work with, and hear the good things about what they've done too. It's all gone to other locations, but I hear what I mainly hear is that what I've relayed before, that it does work if
Hmm.
you put the right attitude and the time into it. It will, you'll get where you really want to go. But as much as we try to find those students that are committed, you're going to get some that aren't so much. And sometimes maybe they eventually just work themselves out. They either just resign or disciplinary issues. You do your best, but you're going to have some, but they just
Hmm.
didn't go up with that. What I find is, and I don't want to necessarily, well, yeah, here's another one. I got contacted by an individual. I'll try to not even say gender and things like that, but an individual contacted me last year. I hadn't been doing this that long. I already blew it. Well, you can edit it maybe, but they were out in Dickinson in the detention facility out there. Older, 22, 23, said, I want to go to Job Corps, and I'd like to go as soon as I get out. I said, well, you can't do that because, you have to wait. We're going to have to, you're not eligible right now. We're going to have to wait until you are released and I have documentation and we know that you're not on any probation, parole. You don't owe any restitution beyond $500 and that kind of thing. So that was that.
Yep. Okay.
Fast forward, the day she was released, she called me and said, I'm out. Let's start. And I said, okay, well, give me the documentation and so forth. Got all the documentation, did the application. She was basic eligible, did the criminal background check. There was, obviously there were some things that came up there, but we got through that, jumped over all those hurdles, and we got her on center at Burdick. I've unfortunately not been able to see her up there. I don't get up to the center as much as I should, or as, it's just one of those things. But by the staff accounts, she's excelling. She's doing really, really well. They all say, oh, yeah, no, she's just, she's kind of like a model in many ways. So, I mean, there's a success story there. And that's kind of what I find. I find in many ways that it is kind of those maybe 21, 22-year-olds who maybe have been around the block a few times and been in trouble, and kind of they're coming into that awareness that, oh man, I'm on the wrong track. Just like that police officer that I talked to, I'm kind of on the wrong track here and I need to do something. And they did. That gave them the impetus to change. And they did. And they took advantage of the program, graduated, and they're going on to great things, or have been. They're doing great things. So that's kind of my insight on that. Sometimes maybe the 16 to 17-year-olds who've never been away from home before, it's sometimes a little rough on them, and the commitment level and stuff, because maybe they're not just quite there yet, but some of them do really, really well. I get a couple 16-year-old twins that went in to CNA program, and I hear that they're doing really well now too. So that's awesome.
So we're a native centric organization here, and I'd like to just focus a little bit more on that. Even how often, Dan, do you get out into the field? We got 5 reservations here, Trenton service area. How often do you get out in the field to meet?
Probably at least every other month or so. I may be down in the, specifically, well, I go to other schools and things like that. Of course, summertime is really slow, of course. Well, it's nothing in schools, but I have a really good relationship with Standing Rock School, an individual down there who is big advocate for Job Corps. And anytime they have a student that just is showing interest, then, I can head down there. I've been down there a number of times, either in Fort Yates or at the school, talking to students, giving presentations, sometimes to 8, sometimes it's one-on-one. Like I said, I was up at Fort Berthold in December giving a presentation, and we're heading back up there tomorrow, like I said. So, that was about 6 months or so. So probably, when it comes to outreach, I guess it's like a lot of things, maybe not as much as I'd like, because, you do get the application, it's the admissions process too, and it can be lengthy. But of course, we're by region. Like you said, we have 5 reservations, but, my region, it being in Bismarck, is mostly the southwest part of the state, from Bismarck kind of out southwest. So Standing Rock and Fort Berthold would be mine. And so some of the other advisors, say in Grand Forks, would maybe handle Devil's Lake and other areas like that. So I can't really speak
East
so
River.
much for them. I can only speak for my own experience, which is somewhat limited, but it's telling that even in my, not too long of an experience of a little over a year, that I've already, that Standing Rock is one of our, big, I don't want to say producers, that doesn't sound, but a lot of students come from Standing Rock, and I find that usually they're very committed to the program, and I really enjoy working with that community, and I hope to do more at Fort Berthold as well.
I grew up on Standing Rock, down on the South Dakota side. So, hearing that, we've got young adults taking advantage of the program, boy, that's just wonderful to hear. Like we had discussed before the show started here, that, there's a lot of young people, they're still trying to figure things out. They may just not feel like college is their calling. But they may have discovered something that they want to do or like, and this is just the perfect perfect mode for them to get into what they want to get into.
Yeah. And as you know, with the college debt situation, and just the fact that we're finding out, of course, that college isn't for everybody, and it never should have been. And you get a degree that's worthless with tons of debt. And in the meantime, we've got businesses and the economy is screaming for people to take on the skilled trades. And that's
Mhm.
where, a lot of the money is and so forth. And it's not just all about money, of course, it's all about purpose and satisfaction and things like
Mhm.
that. But I mean, here you can get, a great paying job in a skilled trade with no debt whatsoever. And, you're going to be way ahead of those college graduates. And,
Right.
so yeah. And I find that at least with Standing Rock, fortunately, and maybe it's because of the work of the school and so forth in the community, that Job Corps is fairly well known and seems to have, a very good reputation. And so, I'm pleased with that. And of course, I work to maintain that, I hope, and keep that going.
I think one of the bonuses too for a lot of for our young people, that do take advantage of this program is that, for a lot of them, and Dulcie, you probably could speak to this too as well. A lot of our young people, they may not have that exposure to the non-native reservation world out there that's beyond the boundaries of the reservation. And a lot of them, I grew up with it. A lot of my classmates, and people that you just growing up, with people that my own native friends and relatives that had challenges. They were great in sports or this or that, but they just didn't want to venture off, say to go to college or whatever. But doggone it, this is such an awesome program where they can get kind of that transitional phase, or where they can kind of get an experience off reservation and kind of get acclimated to it. And that doesn't necessarily mean that they can't go back home. They can take these skills and go back home and make it a better place for our people as well. So there's so much upside to this. And I can speak to like United Tribes Technical College, where I put in most of my career as a business plan packager and then director of the business development center down there too. I was on the periphery of the college, but we would see a lot of families and a lot of young people, enrolling there, and it was kind of a nice way for them to, to get off reservation and see what else is out in the world as well, and graduate. And if they want to make a life off reservation, great. If they want to go back home, they can do that as well, and make things a better place back at home. So I guess each of us has to find our path, and sometimes it may be away from home, or it may take us back the long way back home, to do things to help our people as well. So, or just to get that career going, that dream that you have, and that motivation to get up in the morning and go to work, raise a family, or all of those different things that come with life. So yeah, this is just fantastic, Daniel,
Yeah, no,
Dulcie.
that's the goal.
I'm really glad that I met you at that job service
Oh yeah, no.
event a few weeks ago, and you gave me your quick elevator speech, and I was like, doggone it, this guy's on the same wavelength as I am here.
Yeah,
That
well,
the trades are a big thing, and I think for a lot of our people, especially our young people that are just maybe falling in the cracks and they don't know what the heck they want to do. Yeah, I just pray that your message gets out to them, and that this is an option for them. They could go to tribal college as well, but sometimes it just might not be a fit. But this could be that answer for them.
yeah, yeah. Well, and that's the advantage of us working together, because sometimes, yeah, one size doesn't fit all. And like when I started working with one gentleman, and then for some reason, he didn't realize it was a residential program, and so, oh, I don't want to go up to Minot, I didn't know that. Let's forget this. But I didn't just, then I knew that we had WIOA training and opportunities here locally, so that I put him in touch with the workforce here, so that, he could take advantage of the training opportunities here without having to live away from home. And then of course we
Mhm.
have Bismarck, or the Adult Learning Center, Bismarck College, where you can, complete education there as well. So that's why, yeah, these types of things are really good. So we can just reach out and find the right place for these people, because Job Corps may not always be right, but again, it's maybe the perfect thing.
Mhm. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
And it's
Before
good.
oh, go ahead. Pardon me.
I
Go
was
ahead.
going to say, and I didn't say this earlier. I usually try to, and Job Corps has been around for 60 years. I mean, we're celebrating our 60th anniversary this year, so it's not new. I mean, it's been
Right.
around for a long, long time, and so for the government to, fund it and believe in it and things like that, it. But like anything else, I think, things have changed, post COVID in a way. Before. And there is a big push, right? And I'm glad for the opportunity to do this because Job Corps right now is fairly underutilized. And I think we're kind of in the same situation that I hear it seems like from a lot of employers. They can't find, the skilled people, or they just can't find people that work. And of course, we have a different kind of a weird economy where the gig economy and people working, they're making a living off Etsy or something, selling their, it's just different. But that's just it. There's still that need to build things, fix things, and all that stuff. And but post COVID, kind of we saw things going down. And before COVID, and I'm talking from when I talk to the people that have been around for a while, they had waiting lists for people to get into Job Corps. But now, like a lot of employers, we're having trouble finding, and when Walmart's paying $18 an hour. But that's the short term.
Right.
You can make $18 an hour right now, but 2 years later, where are you going to be? Whereas Job Corps, you might have to put that aside for a couple of years, but where are you going to be, after that? Yeah, $25 an hour being a welder, but then that's just a start, and then all the great benefits that go with it. And so, we do need to get the message out, and I think that and we are doing that more. There is a very big concern. It's like the military. When recruiting goes down, you start seeing the commercials on TV and all that stuff, So, and Job Corps is kind of in the same place right now, but that's good. When it's good and bad. I mean, but it's good to get the word out because we have availability. So it's not that long to, we can have you there within 30, 60 days possibly. And you can be on your way to a new career and out of wherever you're at, just lounging around the house or with nowhere to go or in a shelter or whatever. We can get you out of that shelter. And on the way.
I before I took up this position here, I was over the course of the pandemic, I was a PTAC, a procurement technical assistance counselor for North Dakota statewide Native. And worked with a lot of Native contractors out there, and that was always one of the bugaboos. Even pre-COVID too, was the human capital, finding the skilled or even just the laborers too. To help them get projects completed. So, and then yesterday, the last couple of days, I was up at the Bismarck Event Center for the government to government conference, and well attended. All the 5 tribes of North Dakota, and of course our governor was there, and all of the North Dakota representatives were there, well represented, to talk about relationships with the tribes and whatnot. And I was manning our booth, our NADC booth, and we had a gentleman from the Minot Air Force Base come by. And he was just, Brek, what can you do to help me out here? We need contractors. We need, skilled people to come in here. And we've got this Sentinel missile project. It's going to be the next, I don't know, kind of the Minuteman program is retiring, and this is coming in behind it. And we need contractors out there. So I put my PTAC hat on for a little bit, and I just started thinking about giving him tips and pointers and where he can go at the reservation level to the TARO offices, especially the Tribal Employment Rights Office. They've got a database of all of the Native small businesses that do business on and off the reservation. And then also the Apex Accelerator. It was PTAC, now they've renamed it to Apex Accelerator. It just so happened, as I was walking out into the foyer with him, I ran into the gal that heads up the Native PTAC or Native Apex Accelerator program for the Dakotas, Montana, and Wyoming. And I said, here you go, right on a silver platter. I made introductions, and he was happier than happy, to get to know her. And of course, she's got her finger on the pulse in terms of the small Native contractors out there. So but yes, definitely so vital to our economy and getting things done and providing employment. And I am a little mystified too, as yourself, about the human capital part of this. You see, like here in Bismarck, restaurants that are closing up, and by no means were they necessarily not successful. Some of them were very busy. It's just that they had a sign on the door. They just didn't have the staff to do what they needed to do to get things done. It's just mind blowing, to see that happening. So I can definitely concur with the things that you're seeing out there in the field as well. So
Yeah,
it is vital to get.
yeah, and we, working in job service, we, they post, in demand field. They know what people want and need out there. And so they post these in demand occupations in job service, and every one of them has someplace in Job Corps that can train you for that. So you're going into something that has demand, so it's just like it's almost going to be guaranteed, when you get out. But some of those Native American contracting businesses are, I can't help but think about Dalsey here when she starts working with some of our graduates. Those are places that I'm sure we can work with to find places, for them to work. Give them skilled people, carpenters, and building construction folks and things like that, and welders. So that's great. That's great.
Definitely, Dalsey. If you haven't already, they used to be called the PTACs, but now they're called the Apex Accelerators. Yeah, and there are native Apex Accelerators out there as well too. So definitely, if you want to just Google it, and you can find all the different centers across the country here, and then we've got one in Billings that covers our territory up here. Yeah, so they would definitely, I'm sure, love to partner up with you guys as well. To help to foster and to help groom these young people eventually that want to go into the building trades, or it's so needed. It's so needed, absolutely. And then I threw up the list here. It's just amazing. Culinary arts. These are all just so they're so definitely in need for the times that we live in. So you got, like you said, you're right on target. You're over the target in terms of what needs to be taught out there.
And this is just Burdick, and Burdick is among the smaller centers, as you can imagine, in terms of, being in North Dakota and so forth. So, but there, it's beyond this, if there's interest in other things, we can accommodate that as well.
What did you say the capacity for Burdick is? How many
Burdick
students can you take on?
197.
197.
That's there, but that is a pre-COVID kind of, and with the difficulty of filling to capacity, who knows, that may be revised or something like that at some point, but we'd sure like to be back up to that. There, 197. There's plenty of opportunity there for those that want to take it.
Yeah, definitely. And during, as I mentioned, I was at that government to government conference, and I saw some other individuals, different programs too, that are they're kind of in the same field that you're into with the Burdick as well here. And I don't have it right in front of me. Doggone it! I visited with a gentleman yesterday, and it was primarily the trades, and they had 11 native applicants, and out of the 11, they graduated 2. And I was just like, goodness gracious, what's going on here? And I guess that the 9 of the 11, they just didn't take to it, but they did get 2 that graduated. That's wonderful. So they're going to take another run at it, I think, here with this other program. And I don't have the paperwork in front of me. I'll throw it up as a graphic when it comes to me, or if I can find the paperwork, I'll throw it on this video. Great. But definitely, I'm always wondering too, as far as our young people on the reservation, there is just so much. And Dalsey, if you want to, you could even speak to this too. I know there's so many challenges, if it's not, depression, alcohol, gangs, you just name it. There's so many things that our young people at the reservation level are facing on a day-to-day basis. And, it can, be a challenge to, figure out what you want to do, instead of getting into trouble, so this program here definitely, and like you said, it's been around, and I'd heard of the Burdick Job Corps program, but I really didn't, get the full grasp of it. That's why I'm so thankful, Daniel, that I got to meet with you.
Yeah, and I just had one thought about the pertaining more to the Native American population is that, and I actually did minority enrollment at the admissions directorate at the Air Force Academy. I headed that up. And one of the things, I learned is that among minorities, there's big pushes, of course, college and things like that to get more diverse campuses and things like that. But one of the problem is, you focus so much on recruiting that you get, maybe a first generation Native American or African American, yeah, you can get them into the school, but can you keep them there? Because there's really no support system there.
Yeah.
So it's kind of, and so they end up, the retention, it's not just recruitment, it's also retention. But it makes me feel that but at Burdick, because at least in North Dakota, because we do have a pretty large Native American population, there is a fairly big, I'd say that Burdick has a fairly decent support system because I took because there are Native American presence there. There were, the tribal flags in the gym that we saw. And when I took a student up from Fort Yates not long ago, and I knew, and I was talking to him, and I said, "Hey, do you know this guy or this guy?" And he said, "Oh yeah, I know him. I used to hang out with him and stuff." And this was his first time away from home, and he was hugging his grandmother pretty close when he left here. And so I talked to him, and I just kind of got a little bit of an idea. So I called my supervisor. I said, "Hey, can you get such and such and such and such from, removed to greet this guy, when he comes up?" So she did. So when he got on campus, he was, greeted by people, familiar faces, and people he knew to kind of help,
Oh yeah.
so we do try to do, things like that too. So I think and actually, I think the success rate among that is probably maybe higher than it's about an 80%, I guess, that we're running. And the Native Americans do seem to do very well up there and be among our, graduates. So, and there's support up there as well, I believe.
What is the receptivity of the tribal leaderships? That have you noticed any of that in terms of their involvement or in
I don't
attempts to
know.
open
And I don't
to?
know if you have any, and I don't really I have not really dealt
Mhm.
with the official, most of mine is done, on an individual basis.
Right, right.
That's a good question, I guess.
I,
And because I don't know that, maybe I should,
I
so,
I'm just thinking here because we used to in our tribal ways, we used to have rites of passage from youth to adulthood. And sometimes I just wonder, and especially if it can come from a tribal chairman or the council, imparting to these young people the importance of what they're doing because what they do impacts the future of that tribe potentially down the road, if they do, especially if they do come back home, so I'm just wondering, that's why I asked, what is the receptivity of the tribes, when they do get graduates, is there some kind of acknowledgement from the tribe, that these, especially like Standing Rock, like this year,
yeah.
you've got six young adults that are participating and hopefully they all graduate out and and I just wonder what the acknowledgement of the tribe is or other tribes as well,
Yeah, I couldn't answer that, and
yeah.
maybe I should. And maybe that's a question. Maybe that's a bad on me, and maybe I should have those
Uh, I,
relationships more.
yeah, I'm just always trying to, yeah, relationships is key. It's who you know,
Oh yeah, yeah,
and if
yeah,
you can get some more buy-in from the tribes, and I understand. Yep, they've got their own tribal colleges, and of course they want everyone to go to their own tribal college in their backyard. But like we had mentioned, sometimes college just isn't for everybody, or maybe they just need a change of scenery, something that will get them motivated. These young people, young persons to do to follow their dreams, to figure it out what they
yeah.
want for a career. So sometimes it doesn't hurt to, leave home for a little while. And I know that's a big challenge. One of the
Right.
other phenomenons that I had kind of learned about too, talking to other contractors that I'd worked with during my PTAC days, is that yes, you can train up a lot of these young men and women, get them skills and everything, but one of the challenges is getting them to leave the reservation. And that's part of this whole transition thing. But a lot of them, they'll get the skills, but they just don't want to go off res to go get the work or work for another company. They want to just stay home. Now, I don't know if that's necessarily the case anymore post-COVID or whatnot, or if the dynamics have changed, but that was just one of those phenomenons that I'd heard back in the day. And I was like, wow, really? But it is. So I just, I don't know if that is something, another challenge that besets the tribes or these individuals. They get the skills, and there's only so much of the pie at home in terms of job opportunities and contract opportunities that can be bid on. There's only just so much out there. So
Right.
eventually there comes a point where, hey, you might have to venture off off res to go get work. So
That,
that's why I
yeah,
think it's
that,
so key. That's so
yeah,
key
that,
for, for places like the Burdick Job Corps Center. It gives these students some interface with the non-native world out there into the bigger world, and give them the skills and the smarts to survive out there.
that's very much a challenge for Job Corps, and that's very much an awareness because that's what the career transition specialists per Department of Labor, guidelines and so forth. That, like I said, I think I alluded to earlier, is that yeah, they may graduate, but the challenge is to get them that career, in the field that they trained in. And you're right, that may mean that some of these students, and it's not just natives, it's with everybody.
Yeah.
They may have come from some small town North Dakota. They got a welding, they're all skilled up in welding, and then they just want to go back to small town North Dakota where there may only be a McDonald's or a gas station or something. So that's the challenge that we are aware of, and we
Hmm.
do need to work, that we do work, and that to
Yeah.
get them placed in that skill. And you're right, it may involve, there's not a lot of big population centers in North Dakota, but it may involve, that they be in Bismarck or something like that. So
Hmm.
yeah, no, that we're very much on the table.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think somehow, some way, if the tribes, their leaderships or their educational apparatus, just somehow, to acknowledge these young people that are venturing off reservation, just if there is some support, and I don't know if there is, if they give them any kind of monetary support or just a pat on the back and good luck or whatever. But if these young people they know that they've got the support of their tribal chairman and the leadership too. I think that's a big thing, and
Oh,
especially for
certainly.
these young people in the back of their mind that, hey, there's people out there that do believe in me. I'm going to go for it. So I don't know. I'm just thinking
Yeah.
outside the box here.
Oh,
So
sure.
it's part of what I do. Try
No
to anyway.
problem. That's where you pick up ideas, and
Yeah. Yeah.
good
Exactly.
ideas. That's
Yeah.
where they
Oh yeah.
come from.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. So, well, do you got any closing remarks, Daniel? You guys, boy, this was an information packed
Oh,
webinar. I
good,
can't
good.
wait to
Well, I
get it
hope
out
so. I
there.
wasn't sure what it was going to, but I guess just closing remark that I would say is just kind of more reiterate what's already been said in a way, just to remind that Job Corps is it's a complete program, fully paid, lots of support at the end, and that with the right attitude, the right commitment, that again, I find sometimes comes from maybe those a little older that have just realized, hey, I'm not going anywhere, and that they buckle down, do it, and it can work, and
Mhm.
debt free, skilled trade, in demand trades here, and you can pretty much, I think, write your own ticket.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Well, I look forward to maintaining a rapport with you and Dulcie, and just
Yeah,
hear about any more success stories, and maybe we can do this again down the road,
sure.
and just get some more highlights or success stories from you, or any other changes that are upcoming with the Job Corps program. That I would greatly appreciate that, as well. So, Dulcie, have you got anything to say?
No, no, this
Oh,
I'm just sitting in. I'm just sitting in. This is like my first time doing everything, so I'm trying
yep.
to pick up and learn myself.
Yeah.
So what is your background and where did you come from? You said you're from Cheyenne River, right?
Yeah. So whenever you guys were talking about like the transitioning from the reservation to the city, it was really hard for me in the
Okay.
beginning because I am a first generation student and I have been out at United Tribes for the past 10 years. I
Okay.
got my associates from there. I got my bachelor's from there. And so it's,
Congratulations.
thank you. And then
Mhm.
so it's kind of like you kind of just have to get over that little hump of
Yeah.
missing home and your family. But I've been up here in Bismarck for almost 9 years now, and me and my children have just kind of grown accustomed to the fast city life that we live out here. And we have access to everything. It's just right down the road. And
Yeah.
so what I want to do is this working for Job Corps. When I found it, it was just right up my alley. Like I want to work with the youth and help them like focus on their careers and go be great people. That's what I wanted to do. So when I found this job, I was like, this is perfect. I'm
Oh,
very
yeah.
resourceful, and so I'm very resourceful myself. So I felt like I was a strong candidate for this position. So I don't, and then Job Corps, I wish I knew about it when I was younger, because I definitely would have enrolled because I was living in my mom's house until 25 and I
Mhm.
didn't even know what I wanted to do and I had a daughter.
Mhm.
So I really wish I had this opportunity when I was younger.
Mhm.
So now all I can do is just spread the word.
And yeah,
Spread the
and I'm
word.
delighted to have her here because
Oh
what
yeah.
a representative, what a
Yeah. I
testimony and what's the word? Just role model, I guess,
mhm.
for the students coming out of Job Corps and working with them to get them into those jobs. She also do excellent in my job too,
Mhm.
to actually work on the front line with the students and
Mhm.
as well. So yeah, no, awesome.
Oh
Because
yeah.
that's the best recruitment strategy really is, and that's what I say up at centers that like tomorrow when we go to White Shield, we are going to have a current student,
Mhm.
and with Native American background. So that's really the best. I'm old and whatever, so I just sound like wah 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 wah, but you get that student, and that's how we did it at the Air Force Academy. We took fresh, newly minted second lieutenants and sent them out to the schools because who better to represent, you can be where I am, beautiful rather than having, so, and that's the best kind of strategy here is to get our kids out into, these areas to say, hey, this is awesome. This is what I'm doing. And this is what I'm going to do when I get out. Or once they have graduated, find a former graduate that's actually doing it and living, the life to, for recruiting events and things like that. So that's my theory.
Oh
That
yeah.
I'd like to really take advantage of more.
Mhm. Well, I want to thank you and Dulcie for your role and, helping our people at the reservation level and across the state on or off the reservation, helping our young people. They are the future and we got to get them, the ones that are falling in the cracks, we got to pull them out and help them get to where they need to go and, fulfill their own destinies, and that's awesome what you two are doing. And I applaud you both. I will just real quick too mention, I know that our CEO, Lorraine Davis, I know she's working hard right now behind the scenes as well. We're going to try to have more of a workforce development component here at our center as well, that we definitely want to get going and get more traction with it. And that's coming down the road here. So definitely I want to pull in you folks as well whenever we have a open house or anything like that where we can be open to the public and talk about these things. I definitely want to spotlight your guys'
Oh
program
yeah,
for
would love
certain.
to. Love to.
Awesome. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. So well, hey, with that, I think we've covered quite a bit today. So
Okay.
I again thank you both for being here today for the Native American Development Center Spotlight on the Burdick Job Center and
Thank you.
Job Corps Center. And we'll hopefully have you back again sometime soon, and we'll talk shop some more.
Definitely
All right.
want to continue the relationship. Yes.
Oh yeah. Thank you both
Okay.
so much. And
My
we'll talk
pleasure.
again soon.
Perfect. Thank you.
You
Bye-bye.
bet. Bye-bye.